Morning, Year 6. I hope you're all well and feeling good on this day. Don't know what's happened with the weather. It's gone a bit yucky today. But anyway, just gives us more opportunity to do work. Yay! We're gonna have a look at a book today. It's a bit bizarre because what I've had to do is I've had to flip my camera around. So because I recorded some of this already, and I realised that the book is back to front because it mirrors me. So I've had to flip it around. So this is my left hand and this is my right hand, and everything's reversed. So it feels a bit strange to see myself like this. But anyway, so we're going to have a look at this book. Let me get myself all set up. Ah, voila. Okay, so we're going to have a look at the cover of the book first of all. Hang on. There we go. Can you see? Yes. Right, so the cover of the book. We're going to have a look at the title. The title says The Children of Leah. Now, this is pronounced Leah as in the way that Leah, to leer at someone, so L-E-E-R. It's set in Ireland a long time ago. So, having a look at the cover, pause the video, and I would like you to have a go at thinking what you think this story is about. Okay, so on the front of the book, I can see 4 swans. Right, okay, I know it's set in Ireland. It looks like it's in some kind of set within the kind of moors of Ireland or the lakes of Ireland. Something to do with a swan, right? I can see some kind of figure in the background. She's her face is obscured, and she's kind of ominous looking the way that she is, but I feel like the focus of the book is going to be these swans, and she's kind of like a secondary character in the background. I can also see some kind of castle as well, which might tell me that it's set in a different time. It kind of tells me that it's set long ago because I don't see any updated houses. Right, let's have a look at the blurb. So, the children of Leah. The Queen wants King Lear to love only her. She begins to think the only way to get rid of the children is to use her magic. Right, pause the video. What do you think is going to happen? Okay, so she begins to think the only way to get rid of her children is to use her magic. Right, so it's some kind of fairy tale where magic is. So it's not a general story. It's something that obviously magic isn't real, so it's something that doesn't usually happen. So maybe it's something to do with these 4 swans. Right, we're going to read the book. What I would like you to do is each time I turn the page, I would like you to read the page, pause the video, read the page before me, and then follow it along with me. Okay. There's a couple of tricky words in this, so you've got. Let's see if I can get it on the screen. Where is it? Where is it? There we go. See, it's back to front. Right, these are the 4 tricky words that might come up in the book. So we've got jealousy, cousins, delicate, and destroyed. Okay, so I would like you to pause the video, and can you find out what these 4 words mean, or figure out what they mean? Okay, so jealousy. Jealousy is an abstract feeling, so it's an abstract noun. If you ever hear of that phrase, it comes up in your spag work. Jealousy is an emotion, and it's when you covet something. It's when you want something that someone else has. It's that kind of like overeating feeling in the pit of your belly that you're like, I'm not happy with what they've got, and I want it. So that's jealousy. Cousins is a family relation. So it's your parents, brothers or sisters, children. They're your cousins. Okay. So for example, my uncle and auntie have my uncle and auntie Angela and Uncle Ian have a child called Paul, and so Paul is my cousin. Yeah, there you go. Delicate. Delicate is an adjective. It is a descriptive word to describe something that is easily breakable and needs to be handled with care. Destroyed, right? Destroyed in this sense is used as a verb. It's a past tense verb, and it means, and I know that because it's got an ed ending, and it means that something was demolished. It was changed beyond recognition. It was kind of, I just get this image of like destruction. Okay. So, like I said, I'm going to turn the page. I would like you to read the story with me. So you read the page first of all, and then, so don't forget to pause, and then I'll read it, and I want you to read along with it, and we'll look at any other words that might jump out at us. As we're going, we'll talk about the story language. So story language is things that you would find in stories, so like a long time ago, many, many years ago, things like that. We're also going to look out for any descriptive language that tells us how things are done. And gives us an inkling of how that character is doing something and why they might be doing that. I'd like you to use lots of expression as we're reading, especially when you see different punctuation, and reread the sentences as we go to focus on the meaning. So, the children of Lear. So I've got a second book on my laptop so I can read it while showing you. Let's see, can you see that? Yes, so it needs to be maybe a page at a time. We'll get this, we'll get it. Okay. Many, many years ago, a king named King Lear ruled in Ireland. He was strong and brave, and he commanded a mighty army. He lived with his 4 children, 1 girl and 3 boys, and their stepmother, the Queen. King Lear loved his children very much. Okay, your turn. The Queen only pretended to love the children. She felt jealous whenever King Lear was with them. As time passed, her jealousy grew and she hated the children more and more. I wish they would disappear, she thought. Then King Lear would love only me. Did you see how I kind of whispered that then because she was thinking it, so it's a side thought. Oh, look at her there. Evil, evil lady hiding in the corner. How dare he? How dare he love his own children? Okay, but he looks pretty happy, to be fair. Where is he? There he is. He looks very happy looking at his children. Okay, you read first. The Queen didn't spend time helping the children to shoot arrows, ride their ponies, or play their musical instruments. Instead, while everyone was busy, she would sneak away to her secret room and practice her evil magic. No one knew that she could make potions and cast magic spells. Sometimes she would go secretly into the woods and try her magic on our small animals. One day, story language, she turned a frog into a fish and a worm into a snail. The Queen was beginning to think dark thoughts. She decided the only way to get rid of the children was to use her magic. Right. She is. Messing with nature. Shouldn't be doing that. Your turn. In front of the king, the Queen was kind to the children. She tricked him into thinking she cared for them. In the evenings, by the fireside, she helped them to weave and told them stories about heroes of long ago. King Lear felt happy that the Queen loved his children. I like the way that we've got 2 prepositional openers. So you've got in front of the king and in the evenings. You've got a preposition and you've got a preposition as an adverb of time. So many spag words. So many spag words. Honestly. Next chapter, the magic spell. Your turn. One day, story language, news came of the war. King Lear told his army to prepare for a big battle. He gathered his family together and told them that he had to go away for a while to fight in the war. The children didn't want him to go. Off he trots. Your turn. The Queen wrapped her arms around the children as they sadly waved goodbye to their father. I'm sure they'll be home soon, she said. We'll have a lovely time. Why don't we go for a picnic together tomorrow? Your turn. The next day was warm and sunny. The Queen said, "Let's go for our walk through the woods. We can have our picnic by the lake." As the children ran and skipped along the woodland path, the Queen grinned. Good, she thought. Today I'll put my plan in action. I like the way that the artist, the illustrator, has kind of created these children in these light colours to kind of show that they're the good characters, and then they've done the Queen as like this dark, brooding character. Your turn. While the children splashed in the lake, the Queen touched the water with her crooked wand and chanted some strange words. Suddenly they began to flap about in panic. They hunched over as their bodies changed shape and cried out as their noses and mouths turned into long beaks. Oh no! There's the words. There we go. The children looked at each other in horror. The Queen screeched with laughter. "Ha! I've changed you into swans! Now King Lear will love only me." The Queen began to chant. "Now as swans you're doomed to roam. You'll never return to your father's home." Looking at that word roam, what does that word mean in this sentence? Okay, so we've got roaming. Ooh, where's it gone? Roam. There we go. Roam. Now as swans, you're doomed to roam. So you're doomed to kind of go about the land and without purpose, really, just traveling. We've got the people becoming swans, the children. Oh, the chant continues. Your turn. From north to south, from east to west, there'll be no place for you to rest. There's just one thing to break the spell, the chiming of a wedding bell. For a bride and groom who must unite from kingdoms that forever fight. Oh, she laughed as she left them all alone. I wonder what that poem means, what that chant means. What do you think? What do you think needs to happen for this spell to be broken? King Lear comes home. At first the children were frightened and confused. Then they began to feel sad and very lonely. They tried to speak, but they couldn't. They flapped their heavy wings and stretched their strange long necks. They had to get used to their new form and learn to fly and move as swans do. They knew that the spell meant that they couldn't go home to the castle. The sister remembered a sad song and she began to hum the tune. As she hummed, the other swans moved closer to hear. Ah. The other swans began to hum too. Then they began to sing words. They found that they could use their human voices to sing, but not to speak. They were excited. They sang to one another, telling each other how they felt about being swans. A few weeks later, King Lear and his army won the battle and came home. "Where are the children?" he asked. Did you notice how my voice kind of went up at the end? Because it's a question. And so we need to kind of have that intonation of a question. "Where are the children?" he asked. The Queen told him, "Oh, the children are staying with my cousins who live over in the west." King Lear was not happy when he heard this. King Lear thought about his children every day. One day he was walking by the lake and he saw the 4 beautiful swans. The swans saw their father. They flapped their wings and moved quickly towards him. He heard their voices calling to him in song. King Lear, where's it gone? King Lear sat under a tree and listened as the 4 children sang their unhappy story. He stroked their necks and smoothed their ruffled feathers. His heart was filled with sorrow and he was extremely angry with the wicked queen. The swans sang. I won't sing. "We'll fly from lake to lake and from shore to shore and keep on travelling until the spell is broken, but we promise we'll come to this lake whenever we return to this part of Ireland." This pleased King Lear. King Lear was red-faced with anger at the Queen. What does that mean when he's red-faced with anger? "Oh, you wicked person!" he shouted. "You've turned my children into swans." "Don't be silly, my love," said the Queen. "They are with my cousins." "Don't lie to me," he yelled. "They told me themselves." "They can't have told you," she screamed. "They're not able to speak." "No, but they are able to sing," he answered. "I know everything you did." "You loved them more than you loved me," she said softly. King Lear raged. "Give me your wand, leave my kingdom, and never come back." The Queen left the castle, and King Lear rode out to the high cliffs and threw the crooked wand far out into the sea. I feel like that's a bad plan. I feel like that's a bad idea. The sea became rough and the waves grew higher. They began to crash against the cliffs. Above him, dark, stormy clouds began to gather. Now, words aren't working. As the king destroyed the wand, the swins. As the king destroyed the wand, the swans were flying over the sea. They flew into the storm. They were frightened. How could they fly in the storm? The wind was too strong. The rain lashed down. Lightning flashed and thunder crashed. "We'll be separated in this storm," sang the sister. "Stay together if you can. After the storm, we'll meet at Seal Rock." The waves washed over the swans and they were all separated. The crashing thunder was louder than their voices. They all feared they would drown. The sister arrived at Seal Rock first. She waited for her brothers. Soon a second weary and wave-washed swan arrived. The sun began to shine. The storm had passed. Suddenly, they saw two grey shapes come flying towards Seal Rock. The four swans were delighted. They were together again. For many years the swans travelled on. Gosh, time has passed. One day they rested on the ruins of their castle. "This used to be our home. We played here when we were children," sang one brother. There was nothing there now. No people and no animals. Nettles grew in the old wheat fields. Sadly, the swans flew on. I wonder what's happened. What has happened to the castle? Why is it desolate? Soon the children passed the lake where the Queen had transformed them. From an island in the middle of the lake came delicate music. They flew closer, drawn to the sound. They saw a hermit playing on a flute. He had some silver chains beside him. A hermit is someone who lives by himself and stays away from other people. "Are you the children of Lear?" he asked. "We are," they sang, "but who are you?" "I'm here to take care of you. Your father wanted you to have a place where you could stop and rest. He thought you would return here one day. Years ago, he had these magic chains made to protect you." The swans allowed themselves to be chained. Now they had a home where they lived happily with the hermit. One day, news came of a wedding between a prince and a princess from kingdoms which were always at war. The swans sang, "At last, this awful spell will be broken." Oops. The swans waited keenly for the wedding day. They sang together in excitement, remembering their old life. As the wedding bells chimed, the silver chains broke away. The feathers fell to the ground, and the children of Lear appeared where the swans had once been. Hundreds of years had passed since the Queen had cast her spell. The children of Lear were very, very old. They lay down together in their old age and fell asleep. Now they were happy and free. The end. So, they got their freedom in the end. It just took hundreds and hundreds of years, but I wonder what happened in that time, what type of adventures they could have had in the time of those hundreds and hundreds of years. So first of all, I'm going to hold up this story map and I want you to try and verbally retell it. So pause the video and have a retell of it. Let's see if I can get it all in. Right, so let's have a look at it. Okay, so we've got the family who are happy together, except the brooding queen in the corner who doesn't like anything or anyone and is very jealous. We've got the king going off to war. We have got the queen then cursing the children to become swans, and the children actually turning into swans. We've got the children realizing that although they can't speak, they can actually sing and speak through that way. We've got the king finding out and throwing the wand into the ocean, and the children getting caught up in the storm that it created, and saying that they were going to meet again at Seal Rock. And then hundreds of years pass, and they come back to their city after roaming the lands, and they find a hermit, and the hermit has got these magic chains which can keep them safe. And they put the magic chains on and they stay happy and live with the hermit in a happy life. And then they hear about a wedding, and the wedding is the joining of the two nations who've always been at war. And suddenly, on the wedding day, they turn back into people, but unfortunately, they're very, very, very old because it's been hundreds of years, and they've all fall down to sleep together, now free. So that's the story map. So I hope you kind of came up with the same sort of thing. So now we've read the story, we've used the story map, and we've retold the story, and you've had a go at retelling it. What we're going to do is we're going to have a think about what the children did during that time when they were swans, what type of adventures they could have had. Okay, so they went off into the land together, 4 swans, and we're going to come up with a little short story about what they could have done in that time. So I want you to take your time with this story. It doesn't need to be rushed, and I really, really need you to focus on those kind of language things. Okay, so language aspects of a fairy tale. So it can start with once upon a time, but it needs to have things like prepositions in there. It needs to have adequate speech. It needs to have brackets, dashes, kind of those grammar features that you want to get into a story. Try and get into these. Don't rush it, because I'm going to have a really good read of these and see if I can keep hold of them. So try and get some really good ideas. You could have the swans discovering, when they come out of a storm, they discover the fact that a village has been ruined by the storm, and so they have to go there. Maybe they can lay golden eggs or something. Use your imagination. Anything that these 4 swans could have done, and all they can do is sing to each other to help, like to communicate. See what you can come up with. That's your activity. Take your time on it. You've got as long as you need. But yeah, so that was the Children of Lear. Bye-bye.